Hi, and welcome to the third episode of Sailing to the Sunset. I'm Paul, this is Mary, this is our dog Mally, and our boat Aequitas. Around the UK in 2021, and we're sailing to the sunset. This week we sail past a big rock, we do some watercolour painting, and we hear about a famous actor who burns down a castle. This week takes us from North Berwick via Low Newton to Amble. Lovely anchorage here. Anybody know where we are? Well, we plan our route. We've got a logbook, our chart here with our passage marked on it. You see some of the pencil lines on there. So we're into our second chart. We were in this corner yesterday. You can see our route across past the Isle of May from Creil. Morning, Miles. How are you? There's a good dog. Ooh. What are we up to today?
Eyemouth. A little bay just before Eyemouth, hopefully.
Coldingham Bay, I think it's called. Yeah. I've been fishing there many years ago. So we're going to pass. Where are we passing just now?
Bass Rock.
Correct. Bass Rock, which is covered in seagull poop. And there's one of the little blighters, a gannet, sitting there. There's a Bass Rock with a radar return. It's a pretty significant radar return. Look at them all swirling off the west side of the island there in the lee of the rock. Every one of those white blobs, if you can see them on the camera, is a bird sitting on a nest, and I presume they're mostly gannets. You just see Torres Power Station on the left of that frame, some industrial facilities, and then the inevitable wind farm arching over the hillside. There are castles all along this coast, and perhaps the most famous of them all is Amble Castle. And in this clip you can see it looks a bit like a building site with cabins and cranes everywhere. What did you find out about Amble Castle?
They're filming Indiana Jones.
So it was all lit up last night or something?
It was all lit up last night because he burnt the castle.
He burnt the castle? It looked like it was still there today, but oh. And here is the culprit, Harrison Ford, with his co-star Toby Jones. Mally's pretty unimpressed though. Sorry. Great, thank you, window cleaner. This is Coldingham Bay, just beside St Abb's Head, which is a nice little anchorage just out of the wind because it's blowing 26, 28 knots. And this is nice and sheltered in here. It's a flat, sandy bottom by the look of it. And the wind inevitably carries us south, and we look towards the Farne Isles along this coast. So there are several islands here. The most famous of which is Lindisfarne. In the distance you can see that there. And behind there's a good anchorage, and this one in a Farne. And we did have a favourable tide through here of 1.8 knots. Well, this is Beadnell Point, and just around the corner is Beadnell Harbour. We are going to anchor there, but actually decided to go a little bit further on to Newton Haven. And as often happens in the evening, the wind died and we were treated to a fantastic sunset. I think we were all quite happy with the anchorage, and we certainly stayed there for 2 days. One of the problems with staying a few nights in a place is Sometimes you lose your anchor ball. And ours is floating just below the surface. Since we've arrived, this anchorage is filled up. Got several boats, I think they're mostly from Amble. So they're in here taking advantage of the Saturday in the pub, I think. Skyline is just far, far away. Beautiful colours. Another beautiful evening at anchor. So what we're eating now?
Chicken leek pie.
It's pie night tonight, and I got Moroccan lamb. They're very tasty. Seems to be a theme here running about pies, isn't there? This is not a bad spot. This is the little green just in front of the pub. And we can watch the boat and the tide and everything. Everybody's having beers on Saturday. So Mary's beer is going down very quickly. What is it called?
Seahorse.
Seahorse. Is it nice?
Very nice.
Mm.
Too nice.
So you may have to have another one.
I may definitely have to have one.
What do you think of that, Mouse? Is that going to be okay, Ali? Is it going to be? You were looking at the queue, are you? I don't think there's any doggy flavours there. So what does the seahorse do to your mum?
Not a lot.
Well, it's laid her out, hasn't it? She's completely comatose. They have, haven't they? That's a very impressive location. You can see it for miles down the coast as well. Yeah, like Bamborough, yeah. Come on, Miles. Come on, let's go, let's go. No more paddling on the beach. It's actually quite warm. Well, of course, we're in the deep south now. Come here, Mally. Good dog. Oh, and look who popped up while we were away on the beach. The next day, having arranged our berth for the night, we had breakfast.
Fruit and cereal.
Fruit, cereal and some yogurt. Yourself again today?
Oh yes. Gusts of 25. Got 18 now. We're still doing 8 knots. 7 over the water.
Very nice. And it's nice and sunny and warm.
It's nice and sunny. It's not quite as warm as I thought it would be.
Tell everybody what you were going to be wearing for this sailing.
My bikini. I've since put my shirt and shorts back on and it's still a bit breezy, so I've shut the side down.
Okay.
I'm a fair weather sailor these days.
Cool. Well, that's us reefed our sails in, and then the wind went up and we went faster than we wanted to. We're looking for about 5 knots just to pootle down the coast, and unfortunately the wind wants to blow at 20 knots, and so we've reefed down, but the wind went up again, so We're going faster and faster.
Oh, that was 25.
Yeah, 25 we've been at.
Readable channel 16 over.
That radio message was a plea for help from someone who was sailing in our direction and had lost power, and they were sailing into the bay in Amble and required some support. So we stayed with them till they got themselves safely anchored, and then we went on our merry way into harbour. We couldn't really tow them as the winds were up to 30 knots and we'd have done more damage if we had tried to do that. It's always difficult trying to anchor on a lee shore with no engine. It must have been uncomfortable for them, but they did eventually end up back in the harbour safely. This is the entrance into Amble. It's quite a straightforward entrance, but you do need to keep to port side, as that's the deepest area of the river. Moored directly behind us was a beautiful old French fishing boat. It had been beautifully restored. We spoke to the owner, and it had been lovingly cared for, and he was planning on making a trip up to the west coast. Culture in this area, the old cobles that were traditional fishing vessels in the area, found a traditional toy shop. We're actually just selling toys. Also came across an old friend who was having a holiday in the river. We had a walk out with Mally up to Aequitas Castle. It was a lovely day out, nice and sunny. When Mally's legs got a bit tired, Mary took her back to the boat, and I went on to look at Hermitage, which is accessed by a boat across the river at certain times of the day. It's across the river, underneath those trees, can't really see it. It's a cave. Well, I like to annotate our logbooks with sketches of places we've been and things we've seen. Thought I'd just include a little clip of me doing the watercolour painting of the French vessel that we saw behind us. This is another clip of me doing an entry for Mackay's shipyard in Arbroath. So watch next time and see our trip down from Blythe to
Hartlepool.
Hartlepool. We're currently in Whitby. If you like these videos, please subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost anything, and you can press the little bell and it tells you when the next video is coming out, and like the video and share it with friends. So that's goodbye from me.
And me. And Mally.
And Mally's going to say goodbye. We'll see you next time. Bye.